At long last, Cozy Club, the father of Hercules, the head honcho of Olympus, the final character that we have been waiting for since the beginning of launch of this game, teasing us for months and years with his all-powerful kit, the god of legends, Zeus, and his kit is finally revealed. What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Cozy Club. Now, there is a lot to unpack with this crazy, powerful, mythical god, and just as we predicted, Zeus and his kit is going to be bringing the meta with him. However, his kit and his powerful abilities are already subject to change. Sit down, Cozy Club, strap up, as we have a lot to cover on today's video. Let's begin. The Forbidden Depths was a lot easier than raids typically are, and that led to Ursula being unlocked very fast. I feel like Zeus is going to be a whole lot harder, and thank God, because we're about to enter this kind of different meta. In my opinion, it's going to be this villains meta that is either going to have the Evil Queen or Maleficent as the lead with the Kingdom villains. And then I think it's going to be some time. Hercules is finally going to fall to the hands of Maleficent or whatever this villain team's going to be. And then eventually, as people start unlocking and beating this new raid, we're going to get this guy who's going to probably, more than likely, in my opinion, be a mythical leader that we have been waiting for. Alrighty, my friends. Well, welcome back into the Cozy Club. The shirtless toga wonder is here to make his presence known. And if you guys recall, Ursula severely changed PvP and the meta entirely, and Zeus is going to be no different, bringing in a powerful new leadership that is going to drastically change heroes and mythical characters, bringing in kind of the antithesis of what Ursula was. And on top of that, he's got a brand new debuff alongside some amazing abilities. Maybe Zeus has that Pocahontas feel, and he's kind of a catch-all hero lead, which would be a awesome idea. I would love the idea of being able to run Zeus outside of the mythical faction and not just have another mythical meta, you know, even 7 months down the line. Now, let's go ahead, Cozy Club, and kick off this kit reveal by looking at what Zeus does very well with some highlights at his abilities and everything that he brings at a top level. Let's look at the highlights of Zeus. Now, first and foremost, my friends, he's going to have an incredible hero-focused leadership. Zeus and his new kit will also rely heavily on the charge mechanics, both offering something when he has charges or when he has no charges on the battlefield. Now, in addition to that, my friends, Zeus is going to have a self-cleansing passive. It's going to make it very difficult for harmful effects to stick on him. He can also give out an enormous amount of buffs and do just some crazy things that we haven't seen before. Now, the final bow of highlights on Zeus is going to be him introducing a new debuff, Shocked. Now, this new debuff is going to be shutting down a bunch of meta teams, so make sure you pay extra attention when we get to that portion of the video. Let's go ahead and jump into those abilities. Starting off with Zeus's basic attack, we're going to go to Thunderbolt Throwdown. Now, Thunderbolt Throwdown is going to be an insane basic, kind of like Ursula. He'll be able to inflict either offense down, crit chance down, or crit power down for up to 2 turns. Now, in addition to that, he'll also have a 50% chance to chain this basic to 2 additional opponents. Now, do realize this says chain, so kind of like Judy Hopps and Moana's abilities, instead of going to adjacent or flanking, it's going to go in kind of a back and forth motion. Now, if Zeus scores a critical hit, again, a lot like Ursula, he's going to be able to perform a secondary basic attack, dealing 75% extra damage. And then this is the real kicker. As of right now, he's also going to be able to stun an enemy with his basic attack. Now, I realize this has to be a critical hit, but the fact that you can inflict all of these debuffs, it can hit multiple times, remove turn meter, stun, and hit powerful damage that chains to opponents, this already seems bonkers. Like, I'm already imagining Wendy just shadowing him over and over, and you just have this clone army of Zeuses that stun the enemies to death. Like, this is going to be terrifying. Now, we haven't got to the charge mechanic, but if you use the basic, it is going to consume a charge, and we'll get to that here in a moment. Now, if you thought that basic was just crazy, each and every sentence you continue reading just gets more and more bonkers. So by now, again, if you don't know, his entire kit is based off charges. He's going to be removing and adding charges, and that's going to kind of depend on what he does with each and every ability. Now, this next one, just sit back and listen to this. He's going to be able to target one character with Titanic Thunderbolt, and that character is going to get the lottery. First of all, they're going to get invincibility. Yep, you heard that right. You can give it to a Baymax that's pretty taunting. Give it to your best character. Give it to Hercules. Give it to Zeus. No matter who you give it to, they will not be able to go down, have a harmful effect. And with it starting at the battle, Maleficent, Mortal Potion, Ralph, there's going to be no way to get and damage these characters. So right off the bat, you're guaranteeing one of your strongest characters right out the gate with a big time invincibility. Now, you might be asking yourself, it's just one turn, no big deal, right? Wrong. In addition to that, they're also going to be consuming a massive amount of turn meter from Zeus, depending on his charge amount, and receiving one of the following OP buffs: offense up, crit chance up, crit power up, tactics, and unstoppable. But wait, there's more. If Zeus consumes over 2 charges, which will be happening all of the time, he's going to gain a full extra turn. Now, I'm all about Zeus being this insanely powerful god. You have to go through the entire heroic raid of the Siege on Olympus multiple times with a club for about 6 months, even longer, to get a full unlocked Zeus. However, in comparison to a character like, I don't know, Aladdin, like, he could barely be worthy of Zeus's slippers that he wears on the way to the bathroom in the mornings. Like, it's crazy. You have Zeus here, and then Aladdin is way down here. Just not even worthy. Now, on a lot of characters, this doesn't matter all so much. But when you give it to someone like a tier 9 Ian, it just gets ridiculous. So follow with me. You target Ian with Titanic Thunderbolt, and bam, he has invincibility. One or multiple of these crazy buffs. He decides to grab his staff, does a little bit of a Voltaire Thundersayer with Barley on the team as well, and poof, you win.
Very nice.
Now, I'm just gonna randomly read this definition of power creep. Power creep, where content released later tends to get more powerful as time goes on. This can usually be seen in multiplayer games with regular expansions or balance patches. So, all right, so enough joking aside, we have the crazy basic that can just poof any character. We have Titanic Thunderbolt that, if the basic doesn't take care of it, or the other abilities, Ian or one of the other crazy characters like Hercules can make the enemy team go poof, bye-bye. Now we have the next crazy ability with Zeus, and that is Godly Blessing. Zeus is going to deal powerful damage to a target opponent, inflicting or extending the new debuff Shocked for 2 turns. Now, we'll get to Shock here in a moment. You're also going to be consuming half of this character's charge, just like the other abilities, rounded up. Now, for each charge consumed, you're going to be chaining this shock and damage to an additional opponent. Now, just like this last ability, level 2 is going to be the same. If this character consumes 2 charge, take an extra turn. So let's go ahead and talk about this new debuff that Zeus brings called Shocked. Now, I'm hoping they bring this to like Powerline and some of the other electricity characters, but Shocked essentially is going to all but shut down Princess Team's Sensational 6, Gargoyles, Beast, Soli, a lot of these characters that really rely on using their basic attacks and special abilities outside of their turn are going to be shut down. Now, Shock as a whole does not allow other characters to evade and or use their basic or special abilities when it is not their turn. So Mike Wazowski calling Soli, Belle calling Beast, and then obviously all the assists that the Princess meta brings, Zeus is going to shut them down. So, Cozy Club, with all of this being said, Zeus has a very powerful basic, great 2 specials and abilities, but they all rely on charge, and we have not seen how Zeus gains charge, and that's obviously going to be very important. Now, let's go ahead and go to his passive, and you guys will see how Zeus gains charges and then maintains them during the course of the battle. Now, let's answer that question. How does Zeus gain those charges? Well, his first passive, I need more Thunderbolts, baby. On battle start, this character gains 3 charges. Now, we're going to go ahead and stop there, and let me pull your attention to the first upgrade. On battle start, in addition, gain invulnerable or invincibility for 1 turn. So you guys might have thought it takes some time for him to get charges over the course of the battle. You're wrong. He's going to get them at the very start of the battle. And in addition, he's going to start out invincible, so there's nothing you can do with the Zeus on the other side. Now, I already imagine Zeus being lightning fast either way, and behind a Miguel lead, or if you have his leadership, he's still going to be extremely fast. But even if you can't get to him, it won't matter because he cannot die. Now, pretty much the reason that he gets invincibility at the beginning of his turn and he can grant invincibility is that his leadership, that we'll get to here in just a moment, doesn't have speed. And so it doesn't matter if he's not the fastest guy. You can't kill him or the people that he selects. And so this is their way of countering all of that speed. And then with that last ability with Shocked, that's the way to counter a beast from going turn after turn and using Get Out without being his turn. Now, the invincibilities combined with Shock is going to shut down a lot around Zeus to allow him to be the incredible powerful character that he's going to be. And you can start to see why they aren't sure if this is going to be his kit. They have confirmed, and Meathead has said on the Discord, that the devs are still balance testing Zeus, which in my opinion, why release the kit in the first place? But they've released it and they said that things are subject to change. Let's go ahead and carry on with that passive. So on battle start, this character gains 3 charges, meaning that on Zeus's first turn, you can do a basic that's going to deal big time damage and chain to other opponents. You can do the Titanic Thunderbolt that will be giving immediate invulnerable, and yes, Zeus will have 2 charges, so he'll be able to gain an extra turn. Or you can go ahead and use Godly Blessing, have 3 charges, gain an extra turn, and go ahead and shock most of the enemy team. Now, in addition to that, on turn start, if this character has 0 charges, so if he doesn't have a charge, he's going to be gaining 3 magic to all abilities, and he'll be cleansing all harmful effects from himself. So if we go again and look at Titanic Thunderbolt, only a 3-turn cooldown, that is going to be ridiculous. And or Godly Blessing, a 4-turn cooldown, will be down to 1 turn, and with the extra turn that he'll take, he'll surely have Godly Blessing up as well, shocking the entire enemy team. And then lastly, if he has 0 charges, he'll be gaining 1 charge, and for each of those charges that he gains, he'll be giving himself one of these crazy powerful buffs. Now you guys can see over here the level 3 upgrade gives +1 charge. I'm not sure if that is on the gain 1 charge at 0 or if it's at 4 at the beginning of the battle instead of 3. Both of those sound pretty bonkers, and obviously the level 3 upgrade will be a must. So as you guys can tell from this first passive, Zeus is going to be the most powerful right out the gate when the battle begins, and then he'll be gaining charges a little more slow, but still lightning fast. Harmful effects aren't going to shut him down. Not much is going to shut down the head honcho of Olympus. Now we have another passive. Oh dear God, there is more. A dash of Cumulus. Now at the end of Zeus's turn, the teammates adjacent to Zeus will be gaining haste for 2 turns, and in addition, they'll be gaining an evasion for 1 turn. Now, this does have a hefty magic cost, but this will be going down with each upgrade. Now, the best part of this, it only took the better part of a year, but Hermes, Phil, and a lot of the Hercules characters that have been sitting on the bench up until this point finally might have a big place within the meta. So let's take a look at how this affects Hermes, almost a useless character up to this point. He is lightning fast with some of the fastest speed within the game, and when this character has haste, his entire abilities are changed. Now, at the moment, there's not a lot of ways to guarantee haste very fast on Hermes, but with Zeus, you can guarantee a bunch of haste being passed along through Hermes, granting haste to his random teammates, and on top of that, if they are mythical, he'll be granting them speed turn meter. Now, all of Hermes' abilities have something different if he does have haste on the field, both of these being much more powerful, with Hit It Ladies being a consistent way to give speed turn meter and powerful buffs. Along with Hermes, we have Phil, who is also a dumpster fire of a character up until this point, but Phil, as you guys know, is going to have an incredibly effective passive. He will be granting buffs that have disappeared and having their duration refreshed, and he'll have a 25% chance to go ahead and keep this ability rolling if it's a mythical character. Now, if it's Hercules, he gets a little bit of bonus magic. And on top of that, if the character has crit chance with his Rule 96, he'll be replacing it with a guaranteed crit. So all of this years later is making a lot more sense. So, oh god, dear almighty, let's go ahead and recap this craziness before we look at his leadership. Now, first and foremost, he's got a passive that gives him charges right out the gate, allowing him to use a big time ability or the other ability to spread shock, an extremely powerful basic if you are out of charges. And in addition, if you're out of charges, you're going to be cleansing and getting more charges. And let us not forget, he'll be getting turn after turn. If he has these charges, he'll be giving out a handful of buffs to the entire team. That's going to tie directly into the leadership here in a moment. And then lastly, my friends, he's got ways to get more turns, give out evasion, pump up Hermes and Phil, and then obviously people like Mother Gothel or even Glitch that get powered up through evasion are also going to get a significant increase with Zeus on the field. Now, this takes us to the final ability, his leadership, Ruler of Olympus. Now, just as a side note, I wish they would do different icons. It just feels a little lazy putting the mythical icon here. But step aside Pocahontas, hero teammates will be gaining 8% offense. You might be thinking not too bad, but wait, plus 4% per helpful effect on that character, up to a max of 5. So with these upgrades, you're looking at a total of 30% offense in addition. Plus, let's add on an offense stone for a maximum 45% offense boost on a character that is already broken like crazy in Hercules.
Very nice.
Now, lastly, the Ruler of Olympus is going to have mythical teammates gain 2% crit power, plus 2% per helpful effect on them, up to a max of 5. This makes just an automatic huge boost to hero characters like Dash, and we'll show you some example teams. But in addition to that, characters like Hades and Pain and Panic are going to feed even more helpful effects out there, and they can take advantage of the crit power damage as well. Very powerful leadership, and with all the buffs floating around with Daisy Duck and Esmeralda and so many other characters, we're about to see a very complex and crazy meta coming upon us in the next few months. So yes, that was a lot to digest, and there's a lot that we have to see play out. We have to see it actually in the game, as plenty of characters look really great on paper, like, I don't know, Fix-It Felix, and then they don't quite deliver how they read. So we have to allow this to come into the game, and it's going to be a while and several characters released later before we do see the all-powerful Zeus at his maximum capacity. Now, let's go ahead and take you guys to the game screen here and look at a couple of teams that are probably going to be pretty dang crazy. Now, first of all, obviously, like we said before, Zeus is going to be bringing back people like Phil and like Hermes. But in addition to that, Elsa, Olaf, Frank the Tank, a lot of these characters that are very buff heavy, like Daisy, Donald, Sensational Six, you can kind of do the math. These are going to be the characters that have the biggest punch up in crazy abilities. I think Megra is another great example who can stack those undefeatables on herself. Obviously, we can put like, let's make Olaf Zeus, because that's just great. If this was Zeus and you put in someone like Hercules, you just have so much to deal with on this team. I don't know. It's just going to be absolutely bonkers. And I'm excited to theory craft both the teams that Zeus can create, and then how the heck are we going to counter this crazy god. However, I want to hear from you guys. I can almost promise you that this kit that we're seeing is not going to be the final one, as it's just too bonkers. It's too powerful, and they're probably going to be doing some severe adjustments to it. I just find it so fascinating that one character's release can buff Hermes and Phil and all these different characters, while shutting down princesses and gargoyles and some other big-time teams with one debuff. Now, power creep is real, but I do want to see from you guys down in the comments, what are your thoughts on the all-powerful Zeus? Obviously, he is very hard to unlock, and so I think that he needs to be amazing, but is he too amazing? Let's hear from you guys. I'm excited to use him, test him, and find counters and the best teams for him, as we always do. My friends, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and until next time, stay cozy.